Hey everyone. I mean, when I say everyone, you who are watching this, I believe I saw that I have 2 views on one video and 6 views on another video. Perhaps by the time you're watching this, there will be 100 views on one of these videos, but that doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm just doing this. I'm trying to make a discipline of showing up every day to offer my experiences for the day along the journey of my next 10 years of creation. So today, in many ways, I believe was sort of a breakthrough day for me because if you have watched any of these videos, you may know that at this time period, I have been preparing for a benefit concert out at a winery on the south side of Ashland called Irvine Roberts, which is a beautiful place. And I determined when I first conceived of doing this that I wanted to share 5 new pieces that I've mostly never played before at this event. It's going to be about an hour of performance, a half-hour set, and then a 15-minute break and another half-hour set. And ordinarily that would not be any big deal if I was just doing all the pieces that I usually play. But in this case, I wanted to focus on these pieces and also on a theme of true friendship or true love or how we move each other. And I may talk about that a little bit more as I move on through this thing. One of the things that I've discovered as I've begun to do this is that I have to be completely spontaneous. I'm not really interested in editing the hell out of these videos. If it's weird, if it's too weird, or I'm saying things that are completely redundant, then I just want to start over. And I don't know whether this will be like that, or perhaps this will be better than some of the other videos that I've put up. I went back and watched, well, I have to get transcripts of each of these because I'm going to be putting the transcript up on the website, 10 Years of Creation. And by watching these as the transcripts are being made, I'm using the Otter app to transcribe these videos. It is kind of noticeable how I sort of drone on, and I've got all kinds of tangents that I'm going off on. And so whether I will ever be able to be incredibly interesting on camera is still a question that no one knows the answer to. However, I wanted to tell you that today feels like a breakthrough because I actually played all 5 of these pieces in the park today. I am knowing them, I'm learning them, I'm getting the hang of them, and that makes me very encouraged that I'm going to be able to make a wonderful performance next week. To what do I attribute this? One of the things I attribute this to is a heightened level of focus, and that I am going to say has been assisted by taking 200 milligrams of L-theanine with each of my 2 cups of coffee this morning. I just felt much more focused. I felt much more focused after my first in the morning coffee that I usually have around 7 or so, and much more focused after my second coffee, which usually happens around 11-ish or 11:15. So for those who are interested in coffee, there's a little something of a report about whether you can get an even greater benefit from having coffee because of the smoothing and focusing effect of L-theanine in combination with the caffeine. Otherwise, you may find this just incredibly non-essential for your life moving forward. I practiced those pieces this morning. I began to do the transcriptions of the videos that I need to put on the website. As I described yesterday, 2 of the main projects that I have in the next few days is being ready to play a great show at the winery, and another is to launch the website. And I'm getting closer and closer on each of those projects. I had some beautiful experiences in the park. I wish I could share. I think I will actually try to share with you at least some of the poem, or if not all of the poem, that my friend Richard, the 91-year-old gentleman who comes to the park to listen, shared this morning. It's called Birches. And it goes like this. When I see birches bend to left and right across the lines of straighter, darker trees, I like to think some boy's been swinging them. But swinging doesn't bend them down to stay as ice storms do. Often you must have seen them loaded with ice a sunny winter morning after a rain. They click upon themselves as the breeze rises and turn many-colored as the stir cracks and crazes their enamel. Soon, the sun's warmth makes them shed crystal shells, shattering and avalanching on the snow crust. Such heaps of broken glass to sweep away, you'd think the inner dome of heaven had fallen. They're dragged to the withered bracken by the load, and they seem not to break, though once they are bowed so low for long, they never right themselves. You may see their trunks arching in the woods years afterwards, trailing their leaves on the ground, like girls on hands and knees that throw their hair before them over their heads to dry in the sun. But I was going to say, when truth broke in with all her matter of fact about the ice storm, I should prefer to have some boy bend them as he went out and in to fetch the cows. Some boy too far from town to learn baseball, whose only play was what he found himself, summer or winter, and could play alone. One by one, he subdued his father's trees by riding them down over and over again until he took the stiffness out of them. And not one but hung limp, not one was left for him to conquer. He learned all there was to learn about not launching out too soon, and so not carrying the tree away clear to the ground. He always kept his poise to the top branches, climbing carefully, with the same pains you use to fill a cup up to the brim and even above the brim. Then he flung outward, feet first, with a swish, kicking his way down through the air to the ground. So was I once myself a swinger of branches, and so I dream of going back to be. It's when I'm weary of considerations and life is too much, like a pathless wood where your face burns and tickles with the cobwebs broken across it, and one eye is weeping from a twig's having lashed across it open. I'd like to get away from earth a while and then come back to it and begin over. May no fate willfully misunderstand me and half grant what I wish and snatch me away not to return. Earth's the right place for love. I don't know where it's likely to go better. I'd like to go by climbing a birch tree and climb back branches up a snow-white trunk toward heaven, till the tree could bear no more, but dipped its top and set me down again. That would be good, both going and coming back. One could do worse than be a swinger of birches. And that poem is so amazing. Richard edited it and apologized after he read it to me that perhaps the editing was not well done. And he did get the very best parts of the poem. But it's quite amazing because it seems now to be part of the purpose of being in the park, to be with the people and what is happening with them. There was a woman towards the end, I would say maybe in her 40s, sitting over on the bench to my right, who was quiet as I played the last three pieces, and then came up to me afterwards and said, "Thank you so much. It meant more to me than you can imagine." And that probably leads me to what I'm beginning to develop to say at this concert. I started thinking about the idea of true friendship and how important it seems to be in my life right now, to have friends that feel like true friends. And yet, I realized there's something about talking about true friendship that turns it into a thing, which means it's a thing that you may have or you may not have. And one might look at me and say, well, good for you. You have true friends. But it's not really quite like that. And that's not exactly what it is that I want to share. What I started thinking about was the verb, the way that we use the word touch. You touched me, not with your hands, but by being who you are, by doing something that moved me. And of course, touch is a touchy word these days because we are coming to know as a culture that there can be touch that is not good touch. And there's then a cloud around the use of that word. So I want to use the word move, and how there are things that you do that move people, and that when you move people, you may also be moved by them, by their response. And that is what I've been experiencing. That is what has been forming the basis of my life now for a number of years, and I haven't been able to put my finger on it. You know, to touch what it is that makes this bond between us that is so important to all of life. So I'm going to be talking about that. I need to talk about it more so I can find a way to weave it into my performance. I was happy to be able to share those new pieces. They're not perfect yet, but I'm getting there. I felt this incredible kinship and even intimacy with all of these people, some strangers even, as I was going to the park and being there at the park and playing and coming from the park. And it has inspired me, as perhaps you can tell. I started singing a version of Somewhere Over the Rainbow on my way, getting ready, loading up my bike. And I thought of a way to do it, an arrangement of it that I want to try out and work on more. Because in a way, it's an easy song. And in another way, it's not that easy of a song. But it's a beautiful song. The words are so beautiful. So there will probably be more time today. I'm doing this message to you at, I'm going to guess it's around 6 again this evening. And I'm hoping I can get the last 2 transcripts done and start posting these to the website. And then it'll be a matter of proofing the website, kind of making sure I've got as many of the glitches out as I can get, as well as looking at it on my phone to see that it looks good on the phone as well. And to do that, I believe there will be a bit of back and forth with ChatGPT, because I find ChatGPT very helpful in troubleshooting all of those kinds of things. I, for now, have decided not to purchase a bunch of these misters. If you watched any of the previous videos, I was thinking about having misters for all the tables at the concert. Instead, it seems I have decided to purchase a new set of strings for just about $400. And that is cleaning me out for the moment. I I'm constantly having to weigh the different things and try to find a way to make it through on the resources that I have, and I'm really grateful every time I can add to the support for my work. In this case, it was just time to get strings, and there were enough contributions at this birthday gathering I had last Sunday that it made it possible to do that. So on the website, I'll be showing the things that have been accomplished in terms of tools and resources, so that anyone who's checking this out can see there's some sort of flow going on, that there is a way that my project of being in the world as an artist and composer and creator and performer is in turn being supported by the world. So I think I'm going to leave it there with you now, and whoever you are, wherever you are, I really appreciate you tuning in to what I'm doing, which is admittedly strange. I want to just end with a little bit of reflection on the very fact of this happening. I envision it somehow becoming more entertaining, becoming more interesting, including more variety, including maybe some songs, maybe some performances, other things like that. And still, for me, it's very helpful to be able to sum up what has come through on this, the fourth day. Is that right? 7, 8, 9, 10, the fourth day in the next 10 years of creation.